How's it going, super friends? I'm Brad the DC Universe Geek, and welcome back to my channel and to my better late than never review of the animated series Superman Lois Lane 2-pack from DC Collectibles. The packaging for this figure is simple and effective, red, white, and blue with the Superman logo, Superman and Lois Lane, and all that good stuff clearly displayed inside the window box. Top of the box is blue with the Superman animated series logo. Left hand side of the package has an image of soups. Right hand side of the box has breathing holes, and the bottom is just red. On the back, you'll see an image of Superman with a bunch of other gobbledygook and the UPC code. And just to give the sculpting credit, you'll notice it has been sculpted by Irene Matter. And now that we've looked at the packaging, let's open it up. Obviously, here's what you get. Bye box. Hello 2-pack. Here's just one more look at the figures in their bubbles before they've been released. Pulling the front out, you can see the accessories that they come with have been firmly taped. I was gonna do that all in one shot, but now I can't. Now I gotta cut it. Hold on a second. So yeah, here's Superman and Lois, and here's the accessories. Now let's get them all out of their bubbles. And all out of the packaging in front of us, here they are. Superman comes with his action figure stand with little pictures of soups from the animated series on it, as well as 3 sets of extra hands, and Lois gets the same treatment. An action figure stand with pictures of her from the animated series and 3 extra sets of hands. The Superman figure looks pretty accurate to the cartoon. The color scheme, the red, the blue, the yellow, nice and bright, very cartoony. The sculpt of the figure also looks very much like Superman the Animated Series, and the overall design of this figure in comparison to the source material, in my opinion, is absolutely fantastic. Superman's S has been expertly sculpted on his chest and looks fantastic, although I'm not going to lie, the paint could definitely be a little bit neater. Superman's belt loops, unfortunately, just like the DC Essentials Superman fresh out of the package, they're not painted red. That's kind of an odd, lazy choice if you ask me. Superman's cape is made out of a nice kind of softish rubber material, as we see quite often with DC Direct and DC Collectibles figures. The skin tone for Superman's body, and right now we'll focus on his face as well, is really quite even. It's been molded out of flesh tone, which is something that you guys know I always really am appreciative about. And the face sculpt, by the way, I mean, it looks pretty much fantastic. The paint could be a little bit neater, but bear in mind we never look at faces this close unless you're looking at an action figure review. You just won't notice all the imperfections. The Lois Lane figure, much like the Superman figure, also looks pretty much fantastic. Opting for a light purple and white color motif, right down to the fact that her eye makeup matches her jacket and skirt and earrings. The paint app quality on the Lois figure looks pretty much fantastic. All the paint is where it's supposed to be, and her flesh tone looks really nice and fleshy. Lois Lane's face sculpt looks completely accurate to the animated series Superman cartoon show. From all sides, left to right, her face sculpt looks absolutely fantastic. And the same goes for her body proportions. They're accurate to the cartoon show with a very narrow waist and slightly bigger hips. Very short in comparison to Superman, but that's something that is cartoon show accurate. As for the question you may have as to how well this Superman figure is articulated, well, let's just have a look. Superman's head's on a ball peg. Hinge swivel shoulders, we know what they do, we know what they're capable of. Single hinge, rotating elbows. Swivelly hinged wrists. A 360 tornado waist. DC Universe Classic style hinges in the groin. Forwards, outwards, and back. Supes also has single jointed knees, and if I'm being honest, that's it. I've pushed them to their limits. There's not really a whole lot more that these can do. And finally, just basic forward and backwards hinged ankles. That's it. That means fans of an ab crunch or bicep or leg swivel of any kind won't find any of that on this figure. It has really kind of mid-level articulation. As for Lois, her articulation is as follows. Lois's head's on a ball joint and it can kind of bobble around like this. Ball hinged armpits that can go all the way around like that, just like Superman's. She has some wristly, spinny, hingy articulation. Some swivelly hips that go around like that. Basic hinged articulation, probably just like Superman's, that gives you some movement, but the skirt definitely gets in the way. She's got your basic single jointed knees, which are actually more articulated than Superman's. And that's it, that's all she's got. And now we've covered the articulation. Let's move on to the comparison. And as you can see here, I first compared him to the DC Direct Classic Silver Age Superman and Lois Lane 2-pack. And for a little bit about the DC Universe Geek channel trivia, the DC Direct Classic Silver Age Superman and Lois Lane 2-pack were the very first DC Direct action figures I ever owned.
The more you know.
Next, we got the animated soups in between 2 other animated soups. On the left, we have the one that was from Kenner, and then later Hasbro it was the same mold. And then on the other side, the really big one, that was actually the equivalent of a Happy Meal toy from a place, I can't remember, hold on. Yeah, that place right there. It was basically the equivalent of a Happy Meal toy. Imagine getting a Happy Meal toy that big. And then we got him in between some more animated Superman figures, going from the left all the way to the right. Justice League Action, Brave and the Bold, the Batman, and then on the far right, we have the Super Friends. Here we got him in between some Supermans that I'm sure you'll be familiar with. We got the DC Direct Classic 21 points on the right hand side, and on the left we have the DC Icons Classic Suited Superman. And then I figured let's stick him in between two custom Alex Ross figures. Left it's DC Universe Classic style, and right it's DC Direct. And finally, and arguably the most important comparison, is that with the animated Justice League Superman figure that I previously reviewed. Man, looking at the animated series one, he ain't got nothing on the exaggerated bulk of the animated series Justice League one. That sucker's huge. So now that we've come to the end of the review, I guess the final question here is, do I think this is a fabulous figure, or do I think you should pass on it? Well, if you're a fan of the animated series, this is probably going to be right up your alley. It looks fantastic. If you want more articulation, this is the most highly articulated animated series Superman figure in this scale. There is nothing else, so this is the only one you have to pick from. Sorry. Oddly enough, I can't dock marks for the articulation for this figure, although I know that some people would have really liked it. I think that it helps keep the aesthetic of the figure looking good. However, I do want to dock just a few marks for the fact that the belt loops never got painted red. That's just lazy. You can find these things going for like $100 on eBay. Don't pay that. Check out Big Bad Toy Store before you go to the eBay scalpers, because it's actually a fantastic set. I highly recommend it, especially if you're an animated series Superman fan. I think you're getting your money's worth. All the extra hands, the action figure stand, and the fact that you get two figures in a scale that you can't get anywhere else makes this a fantastic purchase. Anyhow, that's my opinion and review of the DC Collectibles Superman the Animated Series Lois and Supes 2-pack. If you enjoyed my take on this 2-pack and feel like it was a useful waste of time, or maybe you learned something, or I help you decide to or not to make a purchase on this, hit the like button so I know I've done something right today. Leave any and all comments you have down in the comments section. And finally, if you'd like to see more of my hands and a lot more of my face show up in your inbox, then I invite you to become a super friend and join the DC squad today by hitting that red subscribe button and doinking the bell so that you get notified of whenever I put out new videos. And I'll see you in the next one. Have an awesome day, super friends, and take care. Bye for now.